Larger Catechism meditation this morning takes a look at question number 86, which reads as follows. What is the communion in glory with Christ, which the members of the invisible church enjoy immediately after death? The answer of the Catechism is the communion in glory with Christ, which the members of the invisible church enjoy immediately after death, is in that their souls are then made perfect in holiness and received into the highest heavens, where they behold the face of God in light and glory, waiting for the full redemption of their bodies, which even in death continue united to Christ, and rest in their graves as in their beds, till at the last day they be again united to their souls. Whereas the souls of the wicked are at their death cast into hell, where they remain in torments and utter darkness, and their bodies kept in their graves as in their prisons, till the resurrection and judgment of the great day. We often have questions as to what happens when we pass from this life. Is there an afterlife, and what will it be like? And many different folks have had different answers to that question. Some deny, of course, that there is anything after this life, and so you live this life for all it's worth. Others recognize that there is some sort of afterlife, maybe in a reincarnation or some event of karma whereby you make progress or decline in a future world. The Christian church has taught clearly and faithfully that there is an afterlife, that actually when the soul departs from this world, the souls of believers go immediately into the presence of the Lord, whereas the souls of the unbeliever go immediately to their judgment, to a place of wrath and a place of torment. So the church has stood by the position that there is an afterlife, and that there are different places where we go from this world. The body goes into the grave. In some respects, the Bible describes the bodies of believers as asleep in death. It just pictures the fact that sleep is a temporary thing, and that though our bodies are quiet, nonetheless our souls may be quite active. When we sleep at night, we dream. Well, when we depart from this world, our bodies sleep in the graves, but our souls immediately go into the presence of the Lord. You remember the thief on the cross speaking with Jesus, asking him to remember him in his glory, and Jesus turns to him and says, "This day you shall be with me in paradise." The thief's body would be broken and taken off that cross and buried, but his soul immediately went into the presence of the Lord. The Apostle Paul writes to the church at Philippi, talking of his experience of persecution and how he longed to be in the presence of the Lord, which was far better than life in this world. To depart is to be with Christ, which is far better. In his letter to the church at Corinth, in 2 Corinthians 5, Paul speaks of his soul going into the heavens, but his body being left behind. He describes that as something of an intermediate state for our souls. We are without the body. It's as though we are unclothed in the heavenly realms. And so there is yet a fuller and more complete role coming to us when Christ returns. But our bodies or our souls immediately go into the presence of the Lord. They are perfected in holiness. They behold the face of God in light and glory. Though our souls are there, our bodies are still joined to Christ, though they rest in the graves, and will be raised again on the last day. Some within the church have taught other things other than what our catechism asserts. They have taught first that there is a kind of soul sleep, that when we pass from this life, the soul simply disappears for a period of time, falls asleep, and is reawakened at some future point at the end of history. That's not what the Scriptures teach. We immediately go into the presence of the Lord. Others would suggest that our souls go to an intermediate state called purgatory, where in some form or fashion we suffer for our past sins. We are made perfect or purged, and in some way prepared for that final state. We had the Pope, I understand, beatified yesterday, a previous Pope. In other words, taken out of purgatory and brought into heaven by an act of the Church. We don't have that authority. Only Christ. Only Christ saves the soul. And His blood is effective to cleanse all of our sins, so that when we die, we immediately go into the presence of the Lord. Our sins are already fully and completely paid for. There's nothing in the Scriptures about a purgatory. We go immediately into the presence of the Lord. The souls of the wicked are immediately cast into hell. They anticipate the judgment that is yet to come. You remember the parable that Jesus told of the rich man and Lazarus, and Lazarus went into the bosom of Abraham, and there the rich man was in the torments of hell, begging that a drop of water would be brought to him to soothe his tongue. The wicked go immediately to hell. And their bodies will await the time when the bodies will be raised from the grave, not to newness of life, but to be joined to their souls in hell. And so the judgment of the wicked will be full and complete at the last resurrection. Where will you go? What will occur for you when you pass from this life? Will your soul immediately go into the presence of the Lord because of your union with Christ? Or will you have depended upon your own flesh, your own good works, your sufferings, and think that they will in some way atone for your sin? The righteous, who are clothed with Christ's righteousness, immediately go into the presence of the Lord.